Alright, so we're going to talk about how to develop and flesh out a character. And we're going to do this by talking about none other than yours truly's character, who is totally awesome. He's a dwarf fighter. His name's Kenomyr. My name's Kenny, so I just basically took my name and made it a little bit more dwarven. It's cool. Um, anyway, Kenomyr is a 128-year-old dwarf. He weighs 250 pounds. He is 4'7", and he is so cool because, see, I'm a hardcore player, and one of the cool things you'll find about hardcore players' characters is that there's such in-depth things. Like, one of the big differences is like a casual character will come in and he'll play his character, and I'll be like, well, that was fun, meh. But hardcore character will come in and he'll just take on the role of his character. He'll forget his life. He'll just go on and on about how cool it is to be a dwarf in his world, and really flesh him out. Uh, so my character, let me just pull up. I have a little notepad file that I made about my character file. But in the meantime, I green stuffed a character. Green stuff being a technical term for it being neatite. It is a modeling epoxy, and you can use it to add details to a model of your own. It's totally awesome. But anyway, I've got the page up here. Um, my dwarf is particularly fat. Um, he lost his right eye, and he was in his younger days he was part of the dwarven military, serving underneath his father, who is my warlord. But anyway, lost his right eye in a military campaign against the Axe Ed Orc tribe. He suffers from moderate arthritis, occasionally making morning life difficult. Meaning, like in the morning, I'll automatically add -2 to what I can do for. Basically, just gives other people combat advantage against him in the morning. It's because he's old. Anyway, his beard grows at a particularly slower rate than most dwarves. However, he does have a particularly awesome beard because he loves his beard, because it makes him appreciate it more, because it doesn't grow in as fast. Yeah. Anyway, main weapon, he has a two-handed axe. When traveling, he keeps it on his back. He does not keep it in his hands, because who wants to carry around a 50-pound axe all day? I certainly don't. Secondary weapon, he has a one-handed axe on his belt. That would be a minor action to grab the one-handed axe and a standard action to equip the two-handed axe. Just a little something something there. He has a ranged weapon. He has throwing axe on his belt. He keeps one, and he has 5 in a roll on his back. However, he does have a supply of 50, that's right, 50 on our wagon. He wears a backpack. In it, he keeps a pair of whetstones, which are used to sharpen blades, small collection of important metals from his military campaigns, dwarven beard cream. It's made of hog's lard, and it keeps his beard shiny. He keeps 50 foot of rope, a grapnel hook, a tankard for drinking, a skillet for cooking, a small pot also for cooking, a bedroll to sleep in, 2 skins of mead for drinking, and a poncho. And that's all just in the backpack. This is worth mentioning. My dwarf is not slowed down by how much shit he's carrying. Other characters can, like, for example, a halfling, if he was carrying a 50-foot rope, he's gonna be a little bit slower than he would normally be. But my dwarf is pretty sturdy, so it does not affect him so much. Typically, you will want to keep 50 foot of rope for every character in the wagon, but some characters should bring their packs inside of like a dungeon or something, and that is what my character is for. He's just kind of like, if you need something, guess what? I got the pack. I got it. You're good. A poncho is not totally necessary, however, it will help endurance checks if you are ever caught in the rain. It is very handy to perhaps consider getting a poncho. Bedrolls are important if you plan to get a good night's sleep. Anyway, next up he has a large side pouch. In it he keeps his smoking pipe, another pouch of tobacco, flint for fire starting, and a small pouch of salt cubes which he keeps for his griffin, which is named Ebenezer. Then on his belt, he keeps a small spare eye patch. Um, he has his dwarven beard cream, a small amount of it, just there so he can just rub it in. He doesn't have to break out the old backpack. Um, he had his secondary weapon, his throwing axe. He also has a speaking stone. Oh, what is a speaking stone? It is a walkie-talkie. Um, it's a rock that has written on it in Dwarven, speak, and guess who made it? My Rune Priest character made it for the group. Totally cool. Um, yeah, it's walkie-talkie. Comes in handy. And he also keeps a skin of water, their version of a canteen, just for drinking because it's handy to have one. Um, Characteristic items. His helmet is indeed horned. He's got several cool little orange glowing runes on his axe, courtesy of his brother, the Rune Priest. He's slightly smelly, more manly than just plain old bad, but it's pretty bad, but extremely manly and awesome. He has an eye patch with an iron cross on it, which is one of his Dwarven Kingdom symbols. He has a festering green scar across his chest, and it flares occasionally, particularly in the morning with his arthritis, and it just makes life difficult. He wears a blood red tunic and has iron colored armor, pig iron to be specific. Habits. He's a moderate smoker. Whenever we're stopping, he will probably pull out a pipe. When he drives the wagon, he's always smoking a pipe. When, we go into town and we go in a bar, he will not hesitate to break out the pipe. However, he doesn't need it, but he'd like it. Um, Constantly cleans his main weapon because guess what? He's martial. He's used to being drilled in the morning. He's what he does. He used to being drilled in the morning. That could be taken very sexually. Anyway, um, he just keeps his axe in good condition. Um, he loves to kill messenger boys. On the first quest, it was the very first thing I ever did was a messenger boy came up, and I was like, I lob his head off, and then it went south from there. But anyway, hatred of messenger boys. He favors his left leg on occasion because his right leg flares up with the arthritis. He was jumping out of a wagon when he was in his younger days, and it kind of hurt his right leg. And it flares up every now and then. Sleeps with his eye patch off and in with the spare one in his belt. That's kind of to specify, like, I don't wake up and oh. Occasionally, if it's a particularly bright light, he will just switch the eye patch to his good eye, and that way it blocks the light out there. But typically, he prefers to have it off because it's made of wool and it's kind of itchy, and it's not the best. He sleeps with part of his armor on. He loves to take off his boots too. Um, the only armor he really keeps on while he's asleep is his chest piece and his wrist pieces. He takes off his shoulders and he takes off all the leg pieces. And he particularly loves to sleep with his boots off, which has been a problem during ambushes. But I don't like to sleep with shoes on. I don't know about you. I find it very difficult. He collects trinkets of beard jewelry when in dwarven towns. Whenever we're in a dwarven place, I will smack down 1 or 2 gold pieces, and I will get me some fine beard jewelry. It's just something funny. He favors the color red. Duh, I favor the color red. His favorite drink is dwarven rock mead. Whenever it's available, I have to purchase at least 4 skins of that. He occasionally plays the Thorbow, at which he is decent, in quotation marks there. The Thorbow, I picked the Thorbow because it is something awesome. It's, if you don't know it, it's like a guitar, but back in the olden days, and it's a deep, awesome sound, and it's manly, and it's cool, and every now and then it comes in handy to play an instrument. Um, he's an occasional writer. He loves to write books. However, he's a hater of the common book. He bashes the majority of books, favoring his own thirst for adventure and his own writing. He hates to read books when he's tired, so if it's been a long day, I cannot make him write or read. He hates fire. Even though he favors the color red, he just hates how hot it is. So he has a weakness to fire, and he loves to sleep further away from the campfire than most people. He's usually first to take watch when resting because he has trouble getting to sleep after he's already woken, but he makes a fine first watch as well because he likes to get the kinks out because he wakes up pretty rickety. And yeah, he usually fashions a seat when on watch, which is handy because he comes, he's usually first. So he'll chop down a little old tree and make a stump or something, and it's awesome. And I'll always pick a good spot with a good view of the camp so that the person who comes after him will have a nice spot for him there. Anyway, I've got more. We're about halfway through. I'm not going to go into it more. But that's just an example of how my character is, and it's totally awesome. And next up, I will give you an example of some of the stuff he has in store for him in the future. Yeah.